Hey, all. You've just joined me and Lev talking about how all of this chaos could have been prevented if just enough Americans did the right thing and did not vote for a corrupt criminal who incited a violent insurrection. But we can have nice things in America in 2025. I'm joined by Lev Parnas. You know, Lev, he has a fantastic Substack. Please subscribe. It's called Lev Remembers. Who would have thought 5 years ago that I'd ever be in conversation with Lev on my Substack? But this is a strange world where you have me agreeing with Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene when it comes to America first and not striking Iran. It's a strange world we live in, folks. But Lev, for those who don't know, was a fixer, an insider for Trump. He knows Putin, he knows Netanyahu, he knows all these players. He's written a book about it. And since then, like others, like Michael Cohen, he's like, you know what? I help the worst people, but I'm going to spend the rest of my life making sure the world knows that these people are terrible and we can correct course. So I appreciate that, Lev. And I have Lev on here today. And the framing of today's conversation is Trump, Epstein, and the corruption of it all. Because I believe, and I'm not a conspiracy theorist, folks, but I've been saying for a while, Lev, that you never go full conspiracy theorist. That Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino and Kash Patel, who are now part of the deep state, helped radicalize the right wing, helped radicalize their base, talking about Epstein, 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 the Epstein files, to try to go after the liberals and go after the Democrats. And they promised the base red meat. And that base was promised the Epstein files. And now, voila, no Epstein files. And then yesterday during the presser, I found it fascinating that Donald Trump interrupted a question that was asked of Pam Bondi and then said in such a strange way, Lev, that I was like, uh, what are you trying to hide? Like, like I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but now I'm like, maybe y'all are trying to hide something. So I think this is a much bigger story. I know I've seen the video that Trump and Epstein were friends. They partied together. So I leave it to you. You connect the dots for us. I think if I was an opposition party and if I was a Democrat, I would jump on this to cause some fissures in MAGA. But that's just me. Lev, Trump, Epstein, and the corruption of it all. I yield the floor to you.
First of all, Waj, thank you for having me, brother. I mean, it's great to be here together with you talking about this subject. Absolutely. And first of all, I agree with you. What makes this country so great is that we could agree to disagree. We could debate other things. And this is what Donald Trump is taking away from all of us. And this is why we have to put everything aside. And like you started this conversation, who would think that we would be on the same show together? And that's why I tell everybody right now that it's about the message. We need to unify because right now it's not about policy. It's not about our opinion. It's about humanity and us being on the same side about right against wrong and everybody joining forces to get the message out how to stop Donald Trump. And fortunately or unfortunately, I was part of that world. I was part of the development of MAGA. Not only was I Donald Trump's fixer in Ukraine, but I was there in 2015, 16 when MAGA was evolved and happened. I was one of the top leaders of MAGA. And Epstein files was one of the main things in our group because it linked it to the deep state. It linked it to the Clintons. It linked it to everybody, or the Soros, George Soros, and everybody else. That linked it to also a lot of conspiracy theories all over the world, from Maxwell's what's it called father, connected to Israel, Mossad, all these different conspiracy theories, and some true, probably some not. But at the end of the day, we have to understand two things. First of all, this is a major rift in MAGA. This is not just this will get cured tomorrow or this will go away. And this is why I agree with you. What you said 100% is this is the time where Democrats, opposition have to jump on it more, especially you have somebody like Elon Musk right now, which I'm not a big fan of, and I'm not saying we have to bring him in and forgive him for what he did. I mean, there'll come a day of reckoning where everybody will have to answer to what they did, just like I did. I ended up going to prison for what I did, and Elon's going to have to answer what he did at Doge or what he did on getting Trump elected on the way there, because there's a lot of conversation, a lot of things that still need to be told. But he's willing. He's right now fighting. Elon's fighting for his life. A lot of people don't understand that. That this is not, they think, oh yeah, they're fighting, him and Donald Trump are, messaging each other. No, no, no. Donald Trump, my source, first of all, tell me Donald Trump is livid and is every day trying to figure out how to shut him up. And the
Yep.
problem with Elon is Elon knows too much. And also, what Donald Trump did, and why he's so scared of him, is he gave him the keys to the house, basically to the car, to the office. He let him into Doge. He let him into the computer system of all our back-end information, not just to every American citizen, but also to the White House. I mean, basically to all our government agencies. And he installed Elon as a mastermind of computer technology, AI, all of this stuff. So only God knows what Elon has saved, no, nor be. But I know from a certain fact that he definitely has something, and that's what's keeping him right now still why we even hear of Elon. Because if it was up to Trump, he would already shut him down, Bannon screaming about privatizing, SpaceX, all kinds of stuff, and deporting him is the least of Elon's concern, because he doesn't want Elon somewhere in the world doing what he's doing. It might be a worse end to him. But these Epstein files, they're first of all, the way it happened. See, I know Donald Trump very well. For those of you that might not know him and you watched that play out yesterday, you might think, oh yeah, that was like a little bit, he jumped in. No, no, no. I was watching it, but I was listening. I was doing something at the time. I'll never forget yesterday, and I was listening to the cabinet meeting, and it was, the usual blah, blah, blah. But I was waiting for that question. I was thinking, which reporter is going to have enough cojones to get up there and ask the question, because everybody was going around it. And finally, somebody asked the question, and then all of a sudden I heard his voice. I swear to you, Waj, I dropped everything. I looked up. I couldn't believe it, because I knew it from just what I was speaking to my sources, that why they covered it up, and we'll go into it, and why they announced it when it, but I couldn't believe that he just went ballistic and opened it up. And that's a true, a tell to everybody that
Oh yeah.
this is huge for him. This is, I mean, for him to even risk it, because think of the other thing. Why announce it? Like, he understands that, and everybody understands. MAGA is right now completely destroyed. You got Laura Loomer going after. You got Alex Jones crying. Alex
In a
Jones
car.
sitting there crying, folks saying, "I can't believe they did that to me. I want." You got Roger Stone making conspiracy theories now that it was the Democrats destroyed everything before we even got in there. I mean, they're making
You
they
got
eliminate.
Roseanne yesterday.
Yeah,
Roseanne, you got Tucker
Roseanne.
Carlson, you
Yeah,
got Roger Stone, you got
everybody.
Alex Jones crying, you got Laura Loomer versus Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Martin Taylor
It,
Greene,
it's there.
everybody.
It's
Oh
there.
no, and the other part is, see, I go to a lot of these mega spaces on Twitter, and I debate them, and we find this is part of something I've been doing for years, as part of a way of trying to get people to the good side and understand who Donald Trump is. So I'm a regular, and I've been going, and I've never, in the past several years that I've been on spaces, have seen what I've been watching, seen. I mean, they're at each other's throats. They're holding him account. They've never held him accountable as they're holding him accountable to this Epstein files. And that's why I wrote in my Substack, and I'm going to say that I'm going to ring the alarm, and everybody out there, listen, this is a big one. This is the one where we don't let the media shift the narrative and go, he's going to try to do everything. Look, he opened up an investigation against Comey. I mean,
Yep.
he's going to do everything possible. He's telling you he's going to open sanctions on Putin, which is all fake. It's all mumbo. He will do anything possible to change
Stupid
the
trade
narrative.
war now, where we're gonna pay more
Yeah,
for
yeah.
copper.
I mean, he'll do anything possible right now to get away from this, because to him it's kryptonite. And he knows, and he did it. The reason why he did was trying to, basically, that's why they let it out on a Sunday during 4th of July weekend. They blurbed it. All of a sudden, 2 days, nobody came out. And he just couldn't hold it in his pants. Otherwise, it might have worked. I tell you honestly, if he did not open his mouth yesterday, I truly think that maybe another day maximum and they get away with it. But what he did yesterday, everybody noticed it.
Lev,
Everybody.
it's should be studied in textbooks on how not to suppress a conspiracy theory. It's like the Streisand effect, right? Like I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but hearing him and his response and the fact that he got animated for the first time, this is a man who's only attended like what, 12 to 14 security meetings, has spent 25% of his presidency golfing, literally on camera as he's signing executive orders, has said, when am I signing? Literally does not take interest in anything. Uh, he looked sharp for the first time in a long time,
He woke
interrupted
up.
Pam Bondi, said, why are we talking about this? There's other stuff to talk about. And then I'm like, maybe there should, maybe we should talk about this. And the question I believe was a New York Post, because look, folks, I always paraphrase. I can't say the exact quote from the movie Tropic Thunder, but I'm going to paraphrase it. Never go full conspiracy theorist. They radicalized their base for the past 10 years. And for those who aren't like me and Lev, masochists who follow right-wing media, why this is so important, right? This goes back 10 years, right? They have said that Democrats and liberals are a part of an international cabal of sex predators and child traffickers. Like going back even 10 years, there was a right-winger, a man who watches right-wing news, who isn't crazy, who literally thought just 20 minutes away from me that a pizza a parlor was where Hillary Clinton and liberals were keeping a dungeon with children they've abducted. And he drives all the way with a gun and says, I'm here to free the children, right? So that gets connected to the deep state. That gets connected to all these anti-Semitic conspiracies of the Jews, controlling people of color, and the liberals are part of this cabal of demon worshippers. I'm not making this up. And sex traffickers. That's how you get QAnon.
You know,
QAnon radicalized people like Ashley Babbitt, who showed up on the January 6th insurrection. And then behind it all, the anchor of it is Jeffrey Epstein, right? Epstein's Island. And they kind of ignored the fact that Donald Trump and, probably a lot of Republicans were there, but they're like, we could go after Bill Clinton and we could go after anti-Semitic conspiracies, and we could go after Bill Gates. And that's why for the last 10 years, a lot of these MAGA supporters, folks, they want, and also because they're like, we have to protect the kids, protect the kids. Aha. And when Dan Bongino and Kash Patel get in and Pam Bondi get in, they're finally going to release the Epstein files. Aha. We'll finally have the truth. And Pam Bondi says, I have the files sitting on my desk. And we recall a couple of months ago, you had all these cranks like Libs of TikTok and Loomer and Mike Cernovich emerge from the White House with these binders, right? And now all of a sudden, Lev, she goes, yeah, don't worry about it. He killed himself. No big deal. There's no client list. And MAGA's like, wait a second. What's happening? So for those who don't know, I just wanted to connect the dots. Lev, going back to you, you helped create this and spread this conspiracy theory. You saw it in real time radicalize the base. They never thought they'd probably get in power and be held accountable. Now they're being held accountable because the deep state, folks, is Kash Patel, Pam Bondi,
yep.
and Dan Bongino. So before we talk about the Epstein-Trump connection, talk to us about what MAGA demands of the people now who are in power, which is Bongino, Patel, Trump, and Bondi.
Well, it's interesting because right now they're trying to find a scapegoat because they're doing whatever they can. They're trying to save their Fuhrer, Donald Trump. They're trying to make it, they're making all excuses up that maybe he didn't know, that there's enablers around him, that it's Pam Bondi. They're going after really Pam Bondi. She needs to go fall on the sword. It's her fault. They need to release it. Where's the paperwork? But also the interesting part, you got to understand that all these people you name, before they were in office, how much money did they make off of their
Yep.
podcasts, their selling all of their, I mean, they literally had Epstein files, t-shirts and all kinds of stuff that all of them were playing. I mean, I receive emails still till this day from Donald Trump and his, administration, all of them, because I was on all their emails, where you still mention Epstein till this day, where they talk about uncovering the deep state and go. I mean, that was our number one thing. And you have, see, the problem now is that with all the things that happened, it never went to the mega cult. This is the first time. That's why it's so important. Again, I'm ringing the alarm bell. Is that it's the break is in the mega cult. This is huge. This is not Republicans that voted for him because they wanted taxes higher. This is not some people that voted for him because they had no idea what was going on in the news. This was not people that voted for him because they don't want to vote, against the Democrat. This is hardcore MAGA. Doesn't get any harder. And for Trump to do it, it was a big, big move. And they're going to do everything right now. I'm hearing possible. Two things. To shut him, Musk up. and B, to change the news cycle to get rid to move on from the Epstein. But we can't let it happen. We need to make sure our voices are loud and heard, and each and every one of you be our megaphone, be our extension. Go wherever you are, make sure that put pressure on every media station, because that's the key. Wash. We need the media, because the media is so complicit that they chase, the next headline, the next
Squirrel, squirrel,
great, you
squirrel.
know. Exactly, and he knows that. That's why he played. I mean, I remember when we would sit at the BLT restaurant at Trump International, talk about what are we going to release, what's the next crazy story to be able to have the media chase it to take away from the actual Biden stuff that we were planning on putting out. So nothing changed. I mean, they still chase him just like they did back then.
Yeah, and people are saying this is not a big story, move on. The reason why I'm like you and I said don't move on is because, again, I'm a masochist, unlike others. You're a masochist. We've been following these people. I've been following the conspiracy theories. I've been researching the extremism of the right wing for the last 14 years. Started with this investigative report I did with Center for American Progress called Fear Incorporated, and I know that this is a big deal. And you could actually create some cracks, some fissures in MAGA, in the Trump world, right? And yeah, for those who watch the show, I love that meme from the movie Godzilla where the actor Ken Watanabe says, "Let them fight," right? Just more cracks, more fissures, especially as Donald Trump is going underwater, especially as the approval rating for the Republican billionaire bill. I don't know if you all if you saw it, Lev. I mean, it is completely underwater. My God, -25 with independents is -40. Wait until people find out. Wait until they go into effect. It's just going to be just horrible for Republicans. And also, Donald Trump's approval rating has gone down. And like you said, the Civil War is brewing. And speaking about the Civil War, a name that came out yesterday where Roger Stone went against him and Elon Musk has gone against him and back and forth is Steve Bannon. Talk to me about Steve Bannon's relationship with Epstein.
Oh, well, this is interesting. I mean, I had no idea till yesterday, actually. Elon Musk came out and blew that wide open and said that Bannon is on the list, actually, of the Epstein files. I don't know too much about Bannon's relationship with Epstein, but I could tell you this much, as far as what you were talking about, that for the people that say move on from the story because it's not a big story, you have to also understand for you might not be a big story, and I agree with you because we're normal human beings. We don't want to hear about regurgitate about some pedophile garbage, what's it called? But we are here to save our democracy. So we have to find it's like a war. You have to find every opportunity and every chance that you get to be able to break in to get that opportunity because till now, it didn't matter. I mean, the two things that, and you just mentioned it, that are right now is huge, is the bill that he pushed through, because even though he pushed it through, it wasn't without casualties. Like you said, the Republicans, independents, everybody, said that that bill was garbage, but still pushed it through. Now the Epstein cracks. But this is what scares me more than anything from what I'm hearing and what I want to also talk about a little bit, just quickly mention right
Please,
now,
no, go ahead.
is that Donald Trump's new plan and what they're putting into motion right now. And that's why he kind of doesn't care about. That's why we need to ring the alarm bells right now. He doesn't care about what's going to happen in 2026 because he's implementing called election reform. And what they
Yep.
call an election reform is part of Stephen Miller's and Russell Vaught's Project 2025 mission to go out there and start suppressing votes, start going out there and implementing changes, DOJ rules of how they do things, implementing ICE and federal employees at voting stations, taking away early voting. I mean, all kinds of stuff that nobody's talking about. Media's not talking about. He mentioned it himself, literally. I broke the story actually on my Substack, and then the day after, on July 4th, he came out and said they all promised it to me. My people promised me a fair election. See, people don't pick up on that because you don't. You're listening through so much things, but I know him very well. And then I went back to my sources, and they confirmed it. And what I'm saying is that that is why I'm concerned more than anything, because he's not paying too much attention to the polls. This is a person that
Yep.
lives watching CNN, the polls. He watches more of the opposition than he watches praises because he constantly has to be on there. So for him not to care about what like you said, like what the polls are, what people are saying about the bill, what's happening, right? I mean, for him to pull this Epstein move, because this is completely, these are his voters. This is not people out. These are his base. This is, without that, he has, that's it. And this is pretty huge. So that's what I'm
Well,
worried about.
no, two things. We're going to connect it exactly is because I don't have faith in corporate media. I don't have the faith in the institution. I don't have faith in the establishment. I don't have faith in Democrats. I give you the past 2 weeks. Instead of messaging against the bill or being very smart and shrewd and using a divide and conquer on Epstein, they're still talking about Zohran Mamdani, their own guy who's going to become mayor. So I don't have faith in them. I do want the crack in MAGA, and I think Elon Musk, because he knows MAGA. If you all remember when they had their first big breakup right a couple of weeks ago, what did he lead with? Epstein files, because he knew it would hurt. Now, what's real? What's fake? What are allegations? I don't know. You got Roger Stone going against Bannon. You got Bannon going against Musk. You got to create the fissures. And the reason why I have you create the fissures, going back to your second point, Danielle and I, my co-host, and I'm going to have Danielle on in 10 minutes, have been saying this for a while. Jim Acosta, I was on his show yesterday. Jim had James Carville on. I had Joy Reid on last week. Folks, if you haven't followed Fox, New York Post, all right-wing media threw us under the bus and call us far-left propagandists because we, like Lev, said, why is Donald Trump not so worried about this horrible bill? What does he mean by election reform? I keep the receipts. As you all know, you watch my show. I said, why does he keep saying he wants to be dictator for a day? Why does he say he wants to terminate the Constitution? Why did he quote Napoleon? Why did he keep joking about running in 2028? Oh, yeah. Isn't it the same man who led a violent insurrection? Pardon those insurrectionists. Isn't the same man who picked up the phone and tried to bully Brad Raffensperger into finding him the votes? Oh, yeah, the big, beautiful bill from hell. They just gave $180 billion to ICE, which now gives them 10,000 ICE agents, masked, weaponized agents who are accountable to no one, who can terrorize anyone he wants. Oh, like his personal Gestapo. So if I'm Donald Trump, and if the poll numbers are going the way they are, I'm not worried about 2026 and 2028, because what I would do if I'm Donald Trump, I don't want to give him ideas, but I think, Lev, you agree with me. This is what I would do. I would simply say there's a national emergency. I will use Stephen Miller's quote of invasion, which is why we have to implement Insurrection Act, Alien Enemies Act, and then I will declare martial law. I will unleash ICE agents to be my personal Gestapo when there are mass protests. If you all recall, in the first administration, he asked Mark Esper, "Can I shoot these peaceful protesters in the leg?" And Mark Esper said he was both a suggestion and a question. And Mark Esper said, "No, you can't." Mark Esper's gone, and he was a freak, right? All these right wingers who at least had some decorum are all gone, Lev. Now it's Stephen Miller, Pete Hegseth, and all the rest. And if I'm Donald Trump, who's going to stop me from declaring martial law, punting the elections, and unleashing ICE against all the rest of us who rise up? Am I out of pocket here, Lev?
I mean, I swear, what? It's like you read my Substack. Maybe you read.
I didn't yet.
That was word for word. That was word for word. I swear, what I wrote literally before he came out even and said it, because this is what the scariest part, and there's nobody to stop him. And literally, even before the martial law, I mean, the changes that he's planning on making it to suppress the vote, to make sure that people are scared to even come out to vote, to make there's just so much going on behind the scenes with election reform that nobody's talking about, nobody's touching, and
Oh, I
that's
want to put in quotes, election reform.
election reform. Exactly. Well, we're the only ones sounding the alarms. I mean, you guys are talking about, I'm talking about, but nobody else is talking about it. And that's the scary part. That's why we need to make more of it. And we need to make more of, Elon Musk. Like, I'll give you an example. We should try to get Elon Musk on some of the shows. The media should get, because Elon will talk. I know Elon, you know what I'm saying to you. You got to give him a platform. You got to stir it up. I mean, and I'm worried more than anything is that literally every day I turn around that he's going to change the news cycle any minute. Just think about it. We were at almost World War III 2 weeks ago. Then
Yep.
we're at world peace after that, literally 2 days after that. Then we're almost bombing again. Then one day he's praising Putin and they're talking how they're the greatest leader. The next day he wants to sanction it. Next day he gives them 2 weeks. So it's what I'm saying is I know Donald Trump very well. part of his MO, and you guys already figured it out and you see it, you know it very well, is change the news cycle, dangle that carrot in front of the media. That's how he won in 2016, by getting all that free media coverage, that by just being, that this reality show, this reality personality. Because like I say, he's not the smartest in the room, but he's the leader. You got the people that are actually running this stuff. You got Stephen Miller, Russell Vogt here.
Yep.
We got Susie Wiles as his
Yep.
holder. Then you got Putin on the international stage. Just think about this. I want to just a little bit off subject. This is what pisses me off. Like, you got the media right now chasing CNN all day. I watch them because to see what they're talking about. They got this now. They got the bombshell, the tapes. They got Donald Trump saying that he's going to bomb the hell or bomb the shit out of Russia and China, and he said it. And we're waiting for the response from what is Russia, what is Vladimir Putin going to say? He was bragging.
Yeah.
This is the shit that Donald Trump does. This is when he raises money, when he wants. This is when this was at one of his foundations. He would never speak to Vladimir Putin like that. I guarantee they don't. They don't even talk like that. Not to
Oh, we've seen
or,
it for 10 years, Lev. This man looks like a limp, neutered poodle in front of Putin. He threw America under the bus. He threw his own law enforcement under the bus. He agrees with all of Putin's talking points. I mean, how, after 10 years, what more do people need to see? He's a bullshit artist. He was just bullshitting.
Well, exactly, just exactly. Just and it's so crazy to see how they're chasing that story though, and like they're waiting for the response. And Russia, meanwhile, they're laughing at it.
Of
In
course.
Russia, they're laughing at this whole situation, and they're sending out these signs like, oh, in the meantime, yesterday, over 700, what's it called, rockets attacked Ukraine. Over 700 Shahed missiles attacked. And what Donald Trump, to date, if you recall yesterday, again, when he come out, oh, I'm thinking about giving them weapons. Oh, Putin's a bullshit. He's getting on my nerves. And today, when he was asked about it, still no sanctions, still no weapons sent anywhere. Still,
Well, how about this? If media wanted to cover a story, how about Pete Hegseth, the Secretary of Defense, unilaterally stopping our shipments to Ukraine? I don't know, kind of a big story, Lev.
It just shows you the shit show of a world that we're living in. That basically during a country is being, this is weapons that were not, and you gotta understand, this was not just weapons that they stopped. This is weapons they pulled back. They were already in Poland. They're already being transferred over, and these are anti-defense missiles to protect. These aren't even like offensive, and they stopped them and pulled them back. Literally, and this is the interesting part, and this is where it gets interesting. Literally an hour or two before Trump made his phone call to Putin. And this is the interesting part. Just think about how, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you know what? When we have a court of law, and you have two ways how you could convict somebody could be found guilty. You could have the smoking gun, where all that, here's the gun, fingerprints, blood, DNA, everything. This is the guy did. And then there's a different way, circumstantial evidence, where we could use our brains and we could say, you know what? I heard that it was thunder outside, and I heard the downpour, and I came outside now, and I see it's wet, soaking wet all over the place. I can say with educated mind that without a reasonable doubt that it rained here. It rained. I mean, it couldn't have. There's no other way. Everything could have got wet all over the place. Same thing here. Like we could say, everybody, the media, everybody, the reporters, even like when I do interviews, everybody wants that smoking gun. And because they're trying to find that smoking gun, they're letting the real facts in front of them play out. And like, you don't even have, it's black and white.
It's
I mean,
so clear.
it's so
Like,
clear.
it's been 10 years. Lev, I said I'd keep you for 30. Let me just keep you for 2 more minutes. I'll get Danielle in and we'll do our midweek check-in. But, you know, Republicans and MAGA, I'll give them credit. I always said the following. If it comes to a knife fight, Democrats bring a pencil, Republicans bring a bazooka. All right. And when Republicans get power, they don't care about public opinion. They don't care about the polls. They just get shit done. And they lie. Like Donald Trump bullshits and then he walks back. Folks, remember Donald Trump said, you elect me president, there'll be peace in Ukraine. Is there peace? Elect me president, there'll be peace in Gaza. Is there? There's a genocide. Elect me, the price of eggs will go down. Price of eggs are high, and now they're due to a stupid trade war because he didn't understand the word tariffs. The cost of everything is going to go up, and we're still, God forbid, might hit a recession, right? They bullshit. They get in power, they do what they want, and then they spin, spin, spin. So if you were to consult Democratic leadership right now, in this current moment, on the back heel of this disastrous bill, the fact that he's Trump is now even underwater on immigration because people are like, dude, you're terrorizing innocent communities. And now a report came out that citizens are being picked up, right? He's underwater on the economy. He's underwater on the trade war. He's underwater on inflation. And now you have this gift with Epstein and the fact that MAGA slowly but surely underneath is barely trying to contain it. How would you tell him the message on the Epstein crack up?
I mean, the first thing is what you say, you has to be unified. It has to be one message. We all have to be, so we have to stop the infighting, the going after each other and trying to, what's it called? It has to be a unified message. And the message is pretty simple. Just keep the light on the fire. Don't let them distract you. Don't let them, to change it. Even if something big happens, go back to where is the list? Where is I mean, the other thing is Epstein
Where's
is
the list you promised, right? Pam Bondi. Were you lying?
100%, and not only Pam Bondi. I mean, there's so much. This is the great part. What you said, they have just been given such a gift because of social media and everything is recorded that they should be right now with all the money the Democratic Party has. They should have some of these computer people start going into history and using their own words and to bringing up Dan Bongino, Cash Patel, Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, each and every one of Pete Hegseth, when he was on Fox, all of them, each and every one, and see for all these Epstein, how big Epstein is. And I would just keep it up because what I'm saying to you guys is what counts the most is the voters, and mega his voters right now. As soon this is kryptonite because to them, not only is the way he shut it up, though the fact that the promises that were made, not only the deep state. But you gotta understand, they literally said that they were going to uncover this international, that we have this literally child trafficking international ring that's going on. I mean, there was, movies based off of like 2020 Mules and all that kind of
Yep.
base that have a lot of interest. So you gotta understand that this is so much bigger and deeper. Trump's hoping that all of you and everybody thinks, oh, Epstein, we're tired of Epstein. He's dead. Maxwell's in prison. Let's just move on. Don't make that mistake. Make sure that like what he said, just said, make sure you keep them, call your senators, congressmen, make sure you keep the message on. We want to know where's the list. We want to know, because you know what else I'm hearing? It's not even so much about Donald Trump about this list. It's who's on that list that Donald Trump is right now doing business with.
Mm.
Who Donald Trump is protecting, because there's a lot of people on that list from both. It's a bipartisan list, folks. It wasn't
Yeah,
just
yeah.
Democrat.
Maxwell wasn't the only. Ghislaine wasn't the only one on that
Right.
island with
Ex-
Jeffrey.
Exactly. There was a lot, and what I'm saying to you is now Donald Trump is the most transactional president. He has crypto, meme coins. Who knows who decides to maybe throw 100 million here and there and say, oh, you know what? This needs to disappear. I mean,
Oh,
there's no,
Prince Andrew, Bill Gates' ex-wife just said with the interview with Gayle King, one of the reasons that she divorced was because of his relationship with Epstein. Epstein funded a whole bunch of people. You know who also partied with Epstein? Donald Trump. And
Donald Trump,
Epstein
big time.
said that Donald was his closest friend for a while until they had their falling out. So folks, like I said, that Ken Watanabe quote, let them fight. Let me ask you this question before I bring, I'm going to text Danielle, I'll bring her in. But if you had Elon Musk, suppose you could get Elon Musk without us rehabilitating Elon Musk, how would you use Elon Musk in this very deliberate civil war that we're trying to increase within MAGA? How would you use Elon Musk?
Okay, first of all, I wouldn't attack Elon Musk. I wouldn't go after him on all the stuff that he did. I would give him a pass right now on it, and I would give him a platform to allow to have him bring up information that he has on Donald Trump. And not only Donald Trump, this is
Can
the
y'all
key.
see me?
And
There you go.
yeah, not only Donald Trump, because remember, the why Elon Musk is so important, because I was kind of like Elon Musk, not as powerful money wise, not as maybe as influential in the party by because I was throwing hundreds of millions around, but I was in the inner circle. And when
Yeah.
you're in that inner circle, Donald Trump does not, like, me and Michael Cohen were talking about on one of our shows a couple of days ago. He doesn't pick up the phone when he talks. He speaks on speakerphone. He doesn't tell you to leave the room when, like, oh yeah, we could be talking, like he could call Elon Musk and talk about Doge, and all of a sudden Pam Bondi would walk in and said, "Oh, I got the Epstein files." Musk would sit there and listen. So just like that's why in my 4 years around Donald Trump while he was at the White House, yes, I was sent to Ukraine, but I was a fly on the wall, like with the Venezuela stuff, the Mueller stuff. I mean, I ended up speaking to Maduro on behalf of Trump. So I was involved in task force. That's not even including, like, Pizzagate, like, I mean, all that stuff that people that would, because you're so deep in that inner circle and you're so deep close to Donald Trump, and you become like a gatekeeper to a lot of people that they want to get closer to that circle. So Musk was involved in a lot of stuff, I could guarantee you from what I know. And
Oh yeah.
Musk was a fly on the wall in a lot of stuff. So what Musk needs to do is have some embracement, give him a platform so it feels like he has some protection. Because right now Musk is looking for protection. But again, he knows that Trump is going after him. I mean, Musk has a lot of friends still in that world that now are indecisive. Like he has, like David Sachs. You got,
Yeah.
I mean, JD Vance. Let's not even talk about JD Vance the way, so there's a lot still, Peter Thiel. I mean, this is such intertwined and so heavily. And the number one thing everybody needs to understand is, like, the media portrays it like Donald Trump and Elon Musk had a bromance falling out. Guys, they were never friends. They
Mm.
come from two different worlds. Elon Musk wants to play video games. Donald Trump wants to go golfing. Elon Musk wants to build robots. Donald Trump wants to build buildings and golf courses. Elon Musk wants to try ketamine and do. Donald Trump, despite, I mean, these are two different people. They have nothing in common. Elon Musk was more left than until, he felt that Biden regime and everybody turned on him. Otherwise, there's no love lost between him. Him and Donald Trump have no policies that they agree on, and that's why when it happened, I was the first one saying it. It won't take a few months that he doesn't turn on Elon Musk, but Trump. His biggest mistake, and he's done with me, with Michael Cohen, with everybody, is, like I said, he doesn't have the filter, so you're able to be a fly on that many wall, and then when he turns on you, he tries to destroy you. So it's right now, we could help Elon Musk, give him a platform to shine and get this information out and destroy Mega from inside out, or he will go into high. Maybe he'll end up in Russia, like Snowden. So
The interesting, it's all transactional. Elon Musk gave $300 million to Trump, and then he got Doge and took a sledgehammer to our government, killed people by dismantling USAID and others, National Weather Service, NOAA, which you see the devastation in Central Texas. He thought it was all fine and dandy. He got his deregulation. He got, a revenge against those people who fined him and the FAA, and he thought it would be all great until it wasn't, because everything with Donald Trump, it's transactional, and once it breaks big. But Elon Musk is the world's richest man, and Elon Musk does have X, so it's he can't be shut down as quietly and as quickly as you and Michael and others. And I, for one, very cynically, folks, maybe playing chess here, maybe 40 checkers, what Donald Trump plays, would love to have them fight against each other. I have no love for any of these people. They're terrible human beings. But if I could get Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene to take cracks at MAGA, if I could get Steve Bannon against Roger Stone, if I could get Musk against Trump, if I could get Loomer against Marjorie Taylor Greene, if I could get Alex Jones crying in his car, if I could get Roseanne critiquing Pam Bondi, I'm here for it. Let them fight. Lev, shamelessly promote yourself, sir.
yeah, thank you. And remember, when they're fighting. It's not just them fighting. Each one of them has millions of followers that their support followers are fighting each other's followers. And these are Trump's voters. This is what they have in common, that mega belief that's crumbling, folks. And on that, I want to thank you for having me. You can follow me on Substack. That's my home. This is where we bring truth to power. And absolutely. I mean, I want to thank everybody for following all the independent journalists out there and support the platform because, like we speak about, their independent media is not around. Hey,
This Lev. Thanks, Danielle, for joining us. Danielle, right before I let go, Lev agrees with you that Donald
What?
Trump is distracting, and Donald Trump actually has no plans on leaving because he doesn't act like a man who's has plans on leaving in 2028. And if he did, oh, maybe he'd care more about the polls or the beautiful bill from hell. But maybe a guy who incited a violent insurrection and pardoned those insurrectionists and tried to bully a Republican to give him the votes to get Georgia. Maybe when he's talking about election reform and funding ICE, maybe he's creating his own Gestapo and planning to not leave if, God forbid, well, not God forbid, I hope, God willing, inshallah, Republicans him go down the drain. Maybe, just maybe, folks, there might be martial law, or maybe, just maybe, magically, there'll be some swing states and certain elections that'll be too close to call. Oh, I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. But Lev, thank you so much for joining
thanks for
us.
having me.
Really appreciate it. And Lev's son, Aaron, also has a great Substack. Join Lev's Substack, Aaron's Substack, become a subscriber. And I have Danielle on for our midweek check-in. Thanks, Lev. We'll talk to you,
Thank you.
talk to you soon, buddy. I really
Have a great
appreciate you
day. Take
joining.
care. Bye bye, guys.
Thanks, folks.
Bye.
We're going to roll right into our democracy-ish midweek check-in with Danielle Moodie. Danielle and I were supposed to be doing this at 3, but all of a sudden, Danielle, can you see me? I can't see you. All of a sudden, I see something else. Hold on. Let me get Danielle back in. I lost Danielle. Hold on. Let's get her back. Folks, Danielle and I co-host the Democracy-ish show. It's on YouTube on Danielle Moodie's excellent YouTube channel. It's Monday and Friday at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And Wednesday, usually around 3 p.m., we do a check-in where we spin the wheel of chaos and see all the crazy shit that's happening, and we riff. Danielle joined me at 4:15 today because she was so kind, because I had to take my daughter, Nuseba, to her check-in. Some good news I want to announce as we wait for Danielle is, for those who've been following me and those who don't know, my daughter, who's about to turn 9 on Monday, 6 years ago, was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer, a freakish, rare type of cancer. Right before she was about to turn 3, she needed a full liver transplant. She almost died. And during the pandemic, this was happening while my wife was pregnant with our third and last baby. And we found a anonymous liver donor who stepped up and gave a piece of his liver. Later on, we found out his name is Sean Zahir. And there was a full liver transplant. And my daughter, as of yesterday, folks, just passed the 5-year mark. So she has officially become a cancer survivor. She doesn't, and we just today took her to a cardiologist department. Everything's fine. So she has, if you will, for those who hopefully you'll never have to be in this situation, you'll never have to learn about this, but she moved and has now become a cancer survivor and has really kind of moved on to an amazing threshold. So it's some great news for us, and we're having her birthday party on Sunday, where we're doing just the world's most absurd water balloon fight party. Allegedly, I've been told that I'm a psychopath during these things. We were supposed to have like 50 people. And now we have about 130 people. I've ordered 3,000 water balloons. It's going to be chaos. But when your daughter survives cancer, folks, what are you going to do? Danielle said it crashed on her to send it again. Give me a second. Folks, I'm here. I'm just texting her. Back. Hopefully, y'all can hear. Here we go. So I sent it to Danielle. I'm just waiting for Danielle to accept it. Her thing crashed, folks. I wonder why. Substack went nutty. It's a conspiracy. Substack is racist. So we're gonna get. So thanks for indulging me in that little personal story. That's why I was late today. I rushed and I got Lev on. Lev was a trooper. I was supposed to be on with him at 3, and then I was supposed to be on with Danielle, and she was a trooper. She got a show at 5 p.m. So she's coming on. Hopefully, if I could get Danielle on. Danielle, one more time, she said. Here we go. Bang. Sent. All right, let's wait. Bueller. Danielle.
Oh dear.
Substack is
You
racist.
you and Lev were doing too much, and it just, like, too much brilliance. It crashed for me.
Yeah, thank you. I'll take that spin. Or
You're
you can go
welcome.
with my spin that Substack is anti-DEI and just doesn't like you. But here with
Fair.
Danielle, I was telling everyone the reason why I was so late today, and I appreciate you and Lev both accommodating me, is I took my daughter for a cardiology appointment. Everything's well, and my daughter, as of yesterday, is officially a cancer survivor. She has evolved into that really coveted space past the 5 year mark. And I was talking about this insane birthday party we have planned for her, where she's very popular. It was supposed to be 50 people, but now everyone said yes. There's 130 people coming to our home. I don't even know if we have space for it. I've ordered 3,000 water balloons, and I have looked and researched a water Gatling gun, not a water gun, a water Gatling gun. And allegedly, my wife says I'm a psychopath because when we did this last year, we invited elders, children,
Uh-huh.
parents,
Uh-huh.
and there's video of me just being a psychopath, getting everyone. I even got a blind friend because she was talking shit. And I'm like, you can't talk shit in my house. So I got her, and then there was a blind woman chasing after me. But I'm like, you know what? Rules are rules. And so now I'm this close to getting a Gatling gun, water gun that I might or might not unleash on children and the elders. Because, folks, if you go hard in the paint, you go all the way. So, with
I
all
love
that
that
being
for
said,
you.
good news. It's some good news, with all the shit
That's
that we're about to talk
amazing.
about. That my daughter's about to turn
Congratulations.
9, cancer survivor. You got to take the wins where you can. But Danielle,
Yeah.
we just talked to Lev about Epstein files, how Democrats, he agreed with me, if they were smart, they would jump on this and increase the fissures within MAGA. I don't know if you saw, Roseanne went after Pam Bondi yesterday. Alex Jones is crying. You got Tucker. You got Steve Bannon. You also got the approval rating of the big, beautiful bill from hell, which is meow in the tank. You got Zohran's approval, which are going up, causing nervous breakdowns. And another thing that's going up, folks, in the last 30 years, the largest increase in measles. Yep, came out right here today because we have RFK as the head of HHS, an anti vaxxer. Danielle and I have been warning about it. And as you have that, you have Donald Trump again applying a trade war with the bullshit formula, which is going to increase the price of everything. And I'm sure James Comey's being investigated. There's so much to talk about. And oh, yeah, Linda Yaccarino has stepped down from Twitter, one of the world's worst human beings who was completely complicit with Elon Musk and his Nazi propaganda site. So we're going to spin the wheel, spin,
Uh-huh.
spin, spin. Beep, boop, bop, boop, beep, boop. Danielle, where do you want it to land?
Let's go to oh man. Let's go to the Epstein meltdown for 2000.
Go for it.
I mean, here's the thing with me and the Epstein files is that I don't know who thought that this was actually going to come out. Like, once I heard the audios from Michael Wolff last year,
Mm,
with his book Fear and Fury, and, like, whatever, he's not an exceptional human either, but, like, when I heard Epstein talking about Donald Trump as, like, I'm Donald Trump's closest friends. We've been best friends. He's been one of my closest friends for 10 years. When he unpacked, like, what was happening in the Trump regime and, like, the kind of chaos that Donald Trump was creating. You
mm,
see all of the pictures, the images of them throughout the years. These are not just like pictures on the internet, are not just like, oh, from the 80s or from the 90s. They're from him with Melania. They're like recent photos.
yep,
And so, and recent times. So when Donald Trump is at a presser and a reporter from, I think it was C-SPAN, asked him, like, about Epstein and these files not being released, and he lost his shit. And it was
yep,
just like, why are you still talking about Epstein? It's been years since he's been dead, and he was a creep. And I'm like, he was a creep that you were all over. He was a creep who was in your house with your daughter, with your family. What are you talking about? You were on his plane. That's how you met your wife, your current wife, right? Who was a mail order bride. Like, the incredulous nature with which he showed like showed you in that moment, like, oh, this shit was never coming out. And the fact that Pam Bondi sat before Congress with a straight face and said that these files are on my desk, and now the bobblehead Barbie at the White House press secretary's office talking about, oh, when she said files, she meant all of the documents
Oh,
on the
oh,
desk. And
okay.
it's just
That's
like,
the
no, no,
latest
no.
one.
She
Okay.
didn't say the files were on my desk. She said the list, the Epstein list was on my desk, right? And so let's be clear that as soon as I'm sure that they opened to page one and saw that Donald Trump's name was there, and that even if we went through all of the redaction, even if we went through all of the things, it's just too much, and there's going to be no way to release this and have nothing come back. They were like, okay, scrap it. There's nothing. And then you have, who was it? Kash Patel saying like, oh, this is above my pay grade, out of my, out of my
You're only
lane.
the FBI director. You're only the
And
FBI director.
Sonny Hostin, I think, at The View was just like, out of your lane, you're driving the fucking car. What are you talking about? It's out of your lane. You're the head of the FBI. Right? So again, all of this backpedaling, all of the lying, all of the cover up, now for those that somehow, even after 10 years of watching Donald Trump lie, spin, do all of these things, are now finding themselves like, I can't believe he lied to me, Waj. I
Mm,
can't believe he didn't tell me the truth. I'm part of the faithful. And I think that that's what's really important. Not that we think that this is going to be the thing that cracks open like the cult that is MAGA, but I think
nope.
that it's important to understand the fissures that are
Yep.
happening for the
Yep.
faithful that believed and put everything behind Donald Trump and believed that these Epstein files were going to reveal this Democratic pedophile, cudgel that has been happening. And the fact is, no, actually, your Messiah is at the center of this and has been one of the many spokes. And I said this yesterday on the Danielle Moodie show. I said, if you want to see bipartisanship, it would be the Epstein fucking list. Like
That's right.
that would be the true
That's what
bipartisan
Lev said.
nature. And it would not only would it show you Democrats and Republicans and independents, it would show you CEOs and royals. It would show you prominent figures in every industry. It would be the great unifier, is what it would be.
We're gonna do because I only have Danielle for 20 minutes. So what we're gonna do is the rapid fire wheel of hell, and we're gonna talk about a whole bunch of stories quickly. I'm gonna give Danielle's take. I'm just gonna be the moderator. It's gonna be fun. We'll go back and forth. Speaking about bipartisanship and speaking about the bipartisan crackdown on the rest of us, I give you Zohran Mamdani. Spin the wheel. Beep boop, 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 beep boop. Zohran Mamdani is leading Andrew Cuomo and the other folks, and it seems like he is going to win. And Zohran Mamdani said the following: "This is what's possible when you listen instead of lecture and run a campaign focused on working people." And he tweeted an article from The Gothamist: "Why many Asian American Trump voters chose Mamdani in New York City's primary." Here's a quote from one of them. Quote, "I liked his policies. Mainly his support for education and affordable housing," said Shirley Wong, 70, of Bensonhurst, referring to Mamdani. "He seems to listen to us. But less than a year ago, Wong cast her ballot for Donald Trump. She cited the influx of migrants in her neighborhood as well as the cost of living under Biden. But now, Wong said she regretted voting for Trump, citing the big, beautiful bill's projected cuts to Medicaid. Quote, "I changed my mind to choose someone who can help us. He just needs to prove everything he's saying." So much to unpack. I yield the floor to you, Danielle.
So here's the thing. I watched an incredible video that Zoran Mamdani's team put together, and it was them trying to do one of his on the street videos,
Yeah.
but that he
Yeah.
kept getting interrupted by all of these New Yorkers from all over the place, wanting to take photos and wanting to congratulate him. And it was just, I mean, for those that don't live in New York City, it was just the perfect montage, young and old, Black, white, Asian, Southeast Asian, queer queer, Muslim, like it was New York City. And the thing that I've said about Mamdani and where Democrats could stand to actually sit down and listen and get a lesson as opposed to what he said, which is lecture, is that he's doing shoe leather retail politics.
Old
The
school.
man has broken outside of an office. He has broken outside of the focus groups. He has shut down the consultants, and he is actually out in the streets at festivals, at small events, big events, at conferences, at fucking bodegas, on the subway, talking to and connecting with people. That is called shoe leather politics, because you're going door to door and wearing down the leather in your shoe. That used to be the norm.
Yep.
Before you could then hire a bunch of overpriced, highly educated consultants whose idea of being in touch with somebody is asking the waiter to bring over the sommelier to tell them what kind of wine they should have with their dinner. That is the mentality inside the Beltway. It is the truth. And so when you sit with those people, and I'm not saying data isn't important, but what's more important is actually listening and hearing real people in the midst of going about their lives, telling you what they need, right? And that's what Mamdani is doing. And that's why it is brilliant. And I think, and I've said this so many times over since his primary win, is that the more money that is put behind the Cuomos and the Eric Adams, and the more smearing that is happening of Mamdani, all they're doing is providing that man with free advertising and
Yep.
showing exactly what it is that he is saying and what he's been talking about in real fucking time. And whether or not he's successful, to me, is not even the point at this moment. It's the fact that New Yorkers are sick and tired of the status quo and realize that it doesn't matter what the Democrat or the Republican is saying. They're both taking money from the same people, which means that your interests are not front of mind for them. It is keeping their donors happy. And they are proving it every single day since he's won, right? And watching like Hakeem Jeffries skirt, why he hasn't endorsed him, and you're watching them use Islamophobia and use these lies in the same way that the Republicans have, but then tell you that there's a difference between Democrats and Republicans. I think that Mamdani has unleashed and unlocked something that is exciting. It is
Yep.
energizing, and it is people-centered and people-fueled. And at a time when people feel invisibilized by the oligarchs, he is putting them front and center. And that to me is like, you had me at hello.
Well said. And speaking about the bipartisanship, it's a big club and you ain't in it, to quote George Carlin. All these people golf together. They go to the same church and synagogues. They sleep with each other's wives. They're all buddies and pals, right? The DC to New York Amtrak Express when it comes to business and tech and media and politics, right? And if you don't believe me and you don't believe that Epstein client file, then I give you the attacks on Mamdani, where it's New York Times, where it's Bloomberg, where it's Lawrence Summers, where it's the right wing, where it's Bill Clinton, where it's Hakeem Jeffries and Gillibrand, who have yet to endorse Mamdani. But Hakeem Jeffries' brother just did earlier in the week. Gotta love it. They still haven't endorsed him. And instead of spending time telling everyone what was in this big, beautiful bill from hell, the fact that it cuts $1 trillion from Medicaid, the fact that it gives $180 billion to ICE, about a week and a half ago, they spent their time attributing to Zohran Mamdani a Palestinian, pro-Palestinian chant that he never used. And all of it's connected, folks, and I'm going to connect it for you in real time. This is why they pay me the big money, because the wheel's going to keep spinning, folks. And speaking about, that second half of that quote, where we talked about that 70-year-old Asian American woman who said, I'm voting for Mamdani because, again, the core message, he's going to make life more affordable. I dig it. But she voted for Trump. Why? Because of the migrants. because Donald Trump and Republicans, as they always do, did the manufacture a boogeyman, and the boogeyman this time around was transgender people and the undocumented. And this 70-year-old Asian American woman, like so many people of color, what do? They get close to whiteness, asymptotic to whiteness. They're not officially white, but they'll become the enforcers of whiteness, right? The model minority. We're the good ones. We can't stand these other immigrants coming.
Yep.
These migrants are the bad ones. And so many people voted for Donald Trump, including a majority of Latino voters. And now I have two ICE stories for you that connect to exactly what I said and connect to the big, beautiful bill and the attack on Mamdani, the Islamophobia, and the racism. The first, beep, boop, bop, boop, beep, boop, ICE story. A growing number of U.S. citizens, many of them Latinos, are reporting that they were detained by ICE agents in what critics are saying are instances of racial profiling and overzealous policing. In one case, a U.S. citizen says he was in immigration detention for 10 days, according to an Axios story that came out today. That bill, folks, that passed gives $180 billion to ICE, which makes ICE now have the budget. It is the greatest military budget is the United States. And now ICE has the 16th largest budget, more so than foreign countries, taking ICE agents up to 10,000 agents. Right now, there's thousands of them terrorizing folks in LA, and 300 Marines were deployed on July 3rd to terrorize people in Florida. I hand it to you for this story.
Yeah. So here's the thing. And I just want to I want to go back for like 2 seconds to the Mamdani story because somebody had said it in the chat, and I just want to lift it up. That New York Times story. Who was their source for that? A Nazi.
Absolutely.
In order to bring down Mamdani. So when we say,
Well, okay, but Danielle, before you go, just to make it even worse, what we know is that New York Times rushed that hit piece on Mamdani
right,
to beat another hit piece done by Chris Rufo, a bad faith right-wing actor who weaponized anti-CRT and DI messages. And furthermore, they gave protection to this Nazi, didn't use his real
yes,
name, and referred to him as an academic.
academic.
Continue.
As an academic. So I think that it's really important, like, folks, as you're here and you're supporting independent media and independent voices, that you also are shown exactly what it is that corporate media continues to do because of the fact that everyone is taking money from the same people, right? So they have the same puppet master with the same goal of keeping the people oppressed. Right? Like that's the thing. That's the linchpin that holds them. But with the ICE story, the fact is that, I go and I look at what just happened in MacArthur Park, right? And that formation and that practice that ICE agents were doing to show and create fear, to show force and create fear, that at any moment, at any time in our lives, whether you're relaxing in a park, whether you're walking down the street, that tanks can be rolled down, you can be thrown against a wall or picked up and thrown into an unmarked van. And so we're coming for you next, right? And I think that what's really important here is that, while these stories of buyer's remorse wash from Latinos, from Asian people, from Black people, from folks in your community, Pakistani community, while these folks thought that their money was going to save them, they thought that their proximity to whiteness was going to save them, and they now are having these stories of remorse, which like makes us kind of feel good in a way, like, oh, fuck you, I told you so. But the fact is that we're still here, right? So I don't really care about these stories that come out of people saying like, I supported Donald Trump and now my wife is detained, or like, I supported Donald Trump and now, like, I don't know where my son is, and like all of these things. Like, you fell for the rope-a-dope. And
There
while
you
I
go.
want to say like, oh, look, we're at the find out part of the fuck around, like the rest of us didn't fuck around. So I don't need tanks rolling down my street, but that is going to be what Donald Trump and MAGA is trying to create as our norm. And what we need to do is what the Haitian community did most recently in Brooklyn, and what folks are doing, which is push back, which is fight back, collectively, because if they can come for one of us, they can come for all of us, and that we cannot get ourselves paralyzed by fear, because that's again what it is that they want. They want us to stay indoors. They want us not to go to the parks and not to go to the barbecues and not to go into our places and not to connect with community because we're fearful. And if we just close our shutters and lock our doors and stay real quiet, they won't come for us. And the fact is that they will come for everyone. So the rule here is that the collective action and collective pushback is exactly what the fuck is needed, right? In order to stomp these people out. Because there are other reports, Waj, that I saw. Sky News, for instance, put out and said that ICE recruitment numbers are down. Right. And why are ICE recruitment numbers down? Because people don't want to work there and they don't want to know. People don't want to put themselves in a position where people find out where they work and now they're being harassed and now they're being tormented. They're wearing those masks not because they're tough, but because they know that what they're doing is fucked up. Because they know that what they're doing is actually, being the aggressor and the oppressor in this place. So they are hiding themselves, right? So I think that the best thing that we can do in this moment is create transparency. The best thing that we can do is put these fucking people on blast. The best thing that we can do is make having a job with ICE the worst job in the fucking world.
Yeah, make it toxic. Make it worse than herpes. No offense to herpes. Make it like if you work for ICE, you will never be invited to the community barbecue. You will never ever be invited to Thanksgiving. Nobody will be associated with you. It's like the modern plague if you work at ICE, which is why they wear masks. And to connect the dots, which is what we do on Democracy-ish, I'm going to connect all the dots going back full circle to how we started. Bipartisanship, the bipartisan support for Jeffrey Epstein, because he doled out that money, folks. And there were Bill Clinton and Bill Gates and Donald Trump all partied with them. And bipartisanship when it comes to cracking down on Mamdani, who has an anti-broligarchy message, an anti-billionaire message, which is why people are freaked out on both sides, because corporate money has corrupted politics and why they're trying to crush him. And speaking about people letting their fear and their hate and their anger and their desire to be white and think they're white, delude themselves into thinking they'll be protected by their proximity to whiteness, vote against their own interests, and the fear-mongering that happened that Donald Trump did, right? Vote for me and I'll take out the transgender. Vote for me and I'll go after the bad immigrants. Vote for me and I'll go after the pro-Palestinian activists. And who cracked down on the pro-Palestinian activists? Who cracked down on Columbia University? Who cracked down on anyone who tried to criticize Israel during its genocide for the past year and a half? It wasn't just Republicans. It was also Democrats who also voted with Republicans to pass the Lake and Riley Act to go after the immigrants. It was the Democrats. And here is this story right now, because how are they going after Mamdani? Calling him a freak, a socialist, a communist. Also, again, attributing to him a pro-Palestinian chant that's been around for decades that he never used. It's all connected, and I give you this story that Prem Takar of Zeteo just came out with. Quote, a senior ICE official testified that the agency assembled a team in early 2025 to investigate not violent insurrectionists, not white supremacists, student protesters. The team, referred to internally as the Tiger Team, rapidly compiled over 100 reports based on a list of 5,000 people identified on the Canary Mission website. For those who don't know about Canary Mission, has been funded by a lot of right-wingers and pro-Israel groups to identify people who are critics of Israel. And then it has allegedly shared this dossier with the state of Israel. Interesting, which has resulted in some people not being gained admission into Israel. So Canary Mission, which, by the way, I think I'm on Canary Mission. I've been on there since I was a college student, right? They used to go after students to try to crush any dissent or try to crush any awareness of pro-Palestinian activism. Canary Mission made this dossier, identified 5,000 people, and then hand-delivered it to ICE. And now ICE has its own team to go after student protesters. And as I'm saying this, Zohran Mamdani is being smeared as an anti-Semite. He's not anti-Semitic, simply for advocating for Palestinians. And who has visited the White House this year who has visited America 3 times and was feted by Donald Trump? War criminal Benjamin Netanyahu. Danielle.
And you know what I love the most right now, of the polls that are coming out, and for anybody that listens to me and listens to us know that I don't give a lot of credence to polls, but I think that this is really interesting because it tells you where, again, the establishment Democrats are, as opposed to actual progressives. And the opinions about Israel have shifted.
Remarkable.
Right? From the last like 2-3 decades, the opinions about Israel and America being aligned with Israel have totally and completely changed. And Americans now, Democrats now, are more aligned with the Palestinians' actual self-actualization and self-determination, and their liberation than they are with the state of Israel. And what has happened too, Waj, is this increase in the nuance of understanding the difference between Judaism, right, and Zionism, which has been integrated, intertwined, for all of the wrong reasons and in so many ways. And now, not just young people, but Democrats in general are looking around and they're saying, this is a genocide. I actually don't need to have a degree in foreign policy. I don't need to have anything other than eyes and ears, right? And this is playing out right on my device, right on the device it is that you all are on right now. And so I think that what is really interesting, and again, you have to take this moment as what I said earlier when I was on with Jared Yates Sexton. You have to take this moment as the big reveal that the Republicans are showing you who they are, the Democrats are showing you who they are, so you get to decide who you want to be. Because when they are naked in front of you and you can see where their truth lies, you get to decide what kind of future you want and who you want to represent you. And instead of wasting our times hoping and praying that the Schumers of the world are going to wake the fuck up, that the Jeffries of the world are going to wake the fuck up, that, the Slotnicks of the world are going to wake the fuck up, that the Pelosi's of the world are going to wake the fuck up, that you need to stop wasting your time on these people and actually support, back, and lift up those that are aligned very clearly and transparently where you are. And don't fall for the nuance. Don't fall for their ploy to get us back to a status quo that was never working for all of us. And I think that you can just see the shift that is happening right now just in this one area. You can see and you know that it's taking place all in all other areas as well.
I'll end on this because I know you got to run for your 5 p.m. show, and I have
5 more minutes, Waj.
Yeah. I have Kayvon Shroff coming on at 5 p.m. because I'm a masochist. And he actually is more in line with the Democratic establishment. So we're going to have a healthy back and forth. But we're also going to talk about how the old school model minority culture divides are not working with Zohran Mamdani, right? Why pitting the Asians versus the blacks isn't working. Why pitting Muslims versus Jews isn't working. And I will say this on this issue is Zohran Mamdani stood on business. When it came to Palestinians, he did not throw them under the bus. He was consistent on his messaging. And where Mamdani and AOC are is where the majority of Americans and young people now are in Israel, because they have seen a genocide streamed live to their phones. And this is where the majority of the world is. If you don't believe me, look at that festival in Glastonbury. You had Bob Villain and Kneecap coming out saying free Palestine. And it wasn't just a bunch of brown and black folks. It was a bunch of white kids waving the Palestinian flag. Once you've lost the majority, once you've lost the narrative, once you've lost the culture, Danielle, you've lost. And this is why, instead of evolving and adapting, what they're doing is batting down the hatches and, circling the wagons. And look at Democrats and Republicans when it comes to the bipartisanship, when it comes to courting corporate money, when it comes to helping billionaires, when it comes to the perversion of being associated with Jeffrey Epstein, and when it comes to Israel. Because AIPAC has given so much money to Gillibrand and Hakeem Jeffries and others, to this day, that's why, one of the major reasons why they have not endorsed Mamdani. And go down the list. The unconditional support for Israel. When you had that mayoral race and the debate, every said Democratic mayoral candidate said, "Where are you going to visit?" I swear to God, folks, look at this video. It's amazing. It's like when you ask athletes after they win the Super Bowl, "Where are you going to go?" Disneyland. They ask them, "What country will you visit first?" Every single one. The first person said Israel. The second person said the Holy Land. The third person said, "It'll be my fourth visit." And Mamdani says, "I'm going to stay here in America. I'm the mayor of New York." And even Tucker Carlson and Marjorie Taylor Greene was like, "That's the right answer." And folks, I'm old enough. Look at this gray hair. I'm 44 years old. This issue, when it comes to support for Palestinians over Israel, the shift that I've seen in the past year and a half, I never thought I'd see in my lifetime. The only other time I've seen such a remarkable shift within a period of 4 years is with marriage equality. The first Trump Obama administration, Danielle remembers, she's an activist, she's from the community, traditional marriage. 4 years later, Democrats are like, "We love the gays. Yay, gays, marriage equality." What happened? Look at this, folks. A year and a half. The shift has been remarkable. Look at the Gallup polls. Look at the CNN poll. The people are done with it. You cannot fool the young people. They're not having it. They're saying free, free Palestine. They're radicalized in this issue because they have seen a genocide in real time, and especially Americans. The reason why Americans have been radicalized is because they have seen this genocide, Israel's genocide against the Palestinians, done with the help and complicity of both the Biden administration and the Trump administration, with our weapons and our missiles and our diplomatic support. So this is why, even though Donald Trump is underwater, the Democratic establishment has a favorability rating of 29%, the lowest since 1994. I give the final word to you, Danielle, before you run off to host your 17th show of the day on your excellent YouTube channel that people should subscribe to, The Danielle Moodie Show.
Thank you, Waj. So, look, here's what I'll say, and I'll end with this because I do think that even though I am probably one of the biggest cynics, it is incredibly important for us to remain hopeful in this moment and to look at Zohran Mamdani, look at what is happening in New York City, look at the people fighting back against ICE in LA, in Florida, in New York, in Chicago, and look at how people are coming together. Donald Trump wanted to create silos. He wanted to create fear. And he is doing so. I'm not saying that he's not, but you have to look at the light. You have to look at the glimmers. And you have to recognize that people are not falling for the rope-a-dope anymore. They're not falling for the lies. They are waking up and seeing, wait a minute, who's fighting for me? Wait a minute. Like these people that they told me to fear, these people that they told me didn't work, but they're arresting them at their jobs. These people that they told me to be afraid of, but they're the ones that are making t-shirts that say alligator Alcatraz. Like these people, right? That everything that they have created. Oh, it's the Democrats are the pedophiles and we're the ones that care about children, but now you're not releasing the files. Everything is becoming very clear. And what is true is that the people still have power. There is a path to chart. There is a path to chart in this moment, and we don't have to lay back and comply and just take in the America that Donald Trump and this regime are trying to create. There is so much more that we can do and so much work to be done. But the great awakening that they were trying to stop us from with the book banning and the curriculum ending and the teacher firings and the this, that, and the other thing, all they're doing is radicalizing more people. It's not the trans folks that are doing the radicalization. It's not the Black folks. It's not the immigrants. It's not the undocumented folks. MAGA is actually doing the work that we have wanted for generations to do to wake people up to progressive values and make the people centered. They're doing the work for us. So stay hopeful. And yes, if you have not subscribed to the Damn Digest or to the Left Hook, please do so. This is independent media. Everything that we do is from the ground up. We don't take money from anyone other than the kindness of people that are willing and able to support us. If you can become a paid subscriber, please do so. And also YouTube, where I'm going to be live at 5 p.m. on my YouTube channel.
And I'll be back in about 8-9 minutes with Kayvon Shroff to see if the Democratic establishment can be reformed or whether or not it should be culled. And folks who watch us, we're not interested in restoration. We are interested in reformation. We'll be back live 12 p.m. Friday for another episode of Democracy-ish, which you can see on our Substacks and also on Danielle Moodie's YouTube channel. Become a free subscriber to Danielle's YouTube channel. She's at 26,000. We're trying to get her to 30.
No, I'm at 27.4.
Whoa, that was huge. Okay, great. A huge burst. So we're trying to get her to 30, folks. That's just how it works. That's how the algorithms work. And again, like we said, there's no paywalls on any of our stuff because we're fools. So at the very least, please become a subscriber, a free subscriber. And if you have a few bucks, please, we're like Oliver Twist. Please, please give us some money, please. Danielle, thank you so much for accommodating me. I will see you on Friday. And go over and watch your show in 8 minutes. And I'll be back, folks, in 8 minutes as well. Take care, everyone.
Bye.